Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast? I record and publish podcasts on a platform called Spotify for Podcasters, and I absolutely love it. Essentially, you can upload from your phone or computer, and it distributes to every platform that plays podcasts. They support video podcasts, and you can make money on the platform with ads or even podcast subscriptions, something that has made my life so much easier as a podcaster. So if you're interested, I highly recommend you give it a try. You can download the Spotify for Podcast app, or go to spotify.com/podcasters to get started on your podcast today. Welcome to the ChatGPT podcast. I'm your host, Jaden Schaefer. Each episode, we dive into the latest developments in the exciting field of artificial intelligence, exploring its applications and potential impacts on our daily lives. The innovation in AI right now is absolutely exploding. If you want to stay on top of all the insane disruptions and innovation that's happening right now, you need to subscribe to our newsletter on AIBox.ai. We send you daily everything that is happening, the news and the crazy advancements in AI technology straight to your inbox for free every single day. So go to AIBox.ai, subscribe, and stay ahead of the curve on the world of AI. Can ChatGPT do math? This is a question a lot of people have had, especially people in school, or even just if you're trying to get some quick back of the envelope math done right on the fly. A lot of people want to know, can ChatGPT do math? It can do coding, it can do writing, it can do a lot of things, but is it good at math? And this is actually one area that ChatGPT is not good at, I would say. In fact, to the point that it's pretty well recognized, it is pretty notoriously bad at math. And the reason for this is because the way ChatGPT works. ChatGPT is a predictive language model, meaning all it's doing is typically predicting the next word that should come in a sentence. And so it's not really sitting there and computing a lot of what's going on. And again, we also see that problem with fact checking. It'll come up with lots of different facts that are not accurate. Typically, when I find it writing stories, it's going to get the dates wrong. It's going to get the amounts wrong. It's going to get the dollars wrong. And so it's definitely not very good at math. But the problem is that it can be very convincing in its responses. So today we're going to dive into a little bit about how ChatGPT works in regards to the math side of things, looking at some strengths it has, looking at some weaknesses, and overall at the end of the day what it can do. And then I'm going to run an actual test through ChatGPT to see if it's able to solve my math problem test. You guys can follow along, see if you guys can get it in the back of your head. So I guess the short answer is yes, ChatGPT can perform basic arithmetic operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. However, its mathematical abilities are pretty limited to just simple arithmetic, and it does not extend to more advanced mathematical concepts such as calculus or linear algebra. That being said, if you ask it a question about calculus or linear algebra, it will typically try to answer it. And it's pretty interesting. Just recently, ChatGPT came up with a new update, which they said their goal on that new version was to make it better at doing math explicitly. That's pretty much the only thing that happened in the update. And yet, even with that, I'm still finding it not doing an amazing job. So that is definitely a downside, but one of the other strengths of ChatGPT is that when it comes to math, its ability to understand natural language inputs and provide an output in a conversational format is kind of useful. So for example, if you were to ask it, what is 2 plus 2, ChatGPT would respond 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, right? So you don't necessarily have to put the symbol to a plus symbol in 2. You could just say the word, and you could say similar things, right? You can explain a situation, and theoretically, it's supposed to try and solve that using simple human English. That being said, it's not always very good at that, to be honest. The other thing that they've tried to build into this is the ability for it to handle multi-step calculations and word problems. So for instance, if you were to say, if John has 5 apples and he gives away 2, how many does he have left? ChatGPT should respond, John would have 3 apples left, because it can understand, the text, and you can make some multiple step things. That being said, I have seen cases where it was unable to do those types of problems. Something that's very interesting is if you literally ask ChatGPT, what is your weakness in regard to math? It's going to say something like, one major weakness of ChatGPT is its lack of understanding of mathematical notations and symbols. While it can handle basic arithmetic and operations, when expressed in natural language, it struggles to understand mathematical expressions when in symbolic form. So for example, if a user were to ask, what is the value of 2x plus 3y when x equals 2 and y equals 4, ChatGPT would not be able to provide a correct answer. So it explicitly states, it's not able to solve problems that are, using symbols in them. But if you did ask it that question, it will give you an answer and it will break down the whole answer, whether that's correct or not. I think it's usually not correct, but it literally is trying. So I guess the problem there is there isn't much of a disclaimer on math on ChatGPT, and it's typically getting it wrong. So another one of its, I guess, big drawbacks is it's, does not have a good understanding of higher level mathematical concepts. So it can perform basic, operations in math, but it does not have the ability to solve more complex things such as different equations or vector calculus. So, it kind of limits its usefulness, but all in all, I think it's got a long way to go before it's going to be replacing calculators for people to just talk to. So I actually went ahead and tried giving it a math problem that I heard someone online in a forum say it struggled with. And my math problem was, if it takes 5 machines 5 minutes to make 5 devices, how long would it take 100 machines to make 100 devices? And this is kind of like a silly word problem that if someone wasn't really paying attention, they'd say 5 machines, 5 minutes, 5 devices, 100 machines, 100 minutes, 100 devices. I guess that's like the trick you're trying to get someone to say. In reality, 5 machines in 5 minutes making 5 devices just mean that each machine takes 5 minutes to make a device. So obviously that would mean that it would take 100 machines 5 minutes as well to make 100 devices. Nothing would change. But if you ask ChatGPT, this is the response it gave me. It says, if 5 machines can make 5 devices in 5 minutes, then we calculate the rate of production for each machine. 5 devices divided by 5 minutes equals 1 device per minute. Since the rate of production is constant for each machine, we can use this value to calculate the total production rate of 100 machines. 100 machines times, and then it's got in brackets, 1 device divided by a minute equals 100 devices per minute. So if 100 machines were working together, they'd be able to produce 100 devices in 1 minute, which is not true. It would actually take 5 minutes. So, it's not like a super complex problem. So I guess that just kind of gives a little bit of an overview of ChatGPT and math. It can do basic stuff. I said, what's 100 plus 234? And it said, the results of 100 plus 234 is 334. But honestly, that's like the most basic math problem you could get. You type the same thing in Google and it would be able to give it to you, just with their in search calculator function. So honestly, obviously not very impressive. So I guess, in conclusion on this whole thing, ChatGPT has some mathematical abilities. They're pretty limited to basic arithmetic operations and very simple word problems, but it lacks the ability to understand high-level stuff. It lacks the ability, honestly, to even do a lot of simple word problems, and so it's really not a good tool for math. All in all, I would say they got a long ways to go. They obviously are aware of it. They just did a big update. So it will be to be determined how they improve this in the future. If you are looking for an innovative and creative community of people using ChatGPT, you need to join our ChatGPT creators community. I'll drop a link in the description to this podcast. We'd love to see you there, where we share tips and tricks of what is working in ChatGPT. It's a lot easier than a podcast, as you can see screenshots, you can share and comment on things that are currently working. So if this sounds interesting to you, check out the link in the comment. We'd love to have you in the community. You've been listening to the ChatGPT podcast. Make sure to rate us wherever you listen to your podcasts and have a fantastic week.